Hello there, Saturn YouTubers. If you watch Richpin's video, you would known recently he posted a video of a dome light replacement for the Saturns that he installed. Well, this is my 98 Saturn SL2, and I'm going to show you guys what I did to my dome light, since the LEDs I had just did not work right for me. Just a little bit about my SL2. I got her about a year ago from my grandmother. She has 90,000 miles on her now, and runs pretty good. And I'm able now, after replacing the whole exhaust system, able to get about 30 to 35 miles per gallon, which is pretty good for the automatic, I understand. So my dome light, as you can see, are these tubes here. They're called cold cathode fluorescent tubes, and they're actually designed to go inside computer desktop cases, but they since computers also have a 12 volt DC line, they actually fit perfectly and power perfectly inside a car. So here's what they look like when they're on. See that? I have blue and green in there. There are many color options out there. These two together though work the best to provide the best light. I thought there's a white one, but I just feel it wasn't as bright as these two together. So here's what it looks like with the lights off. So you see, it really does light up that Saturn. You can see pretty well almost everywhere inside of it. And even though the light's a little blue and green, you could still read fairly well at night and keep a good portion of your night vision. I find it's enough light to be legible, but soft enough that doesn't hurt my night vision too much. So I will turn the lights back on, show you guys a few other features I have in my 98 SL2. Alright, so we'll start back up in the front driver's seat. And I'll show you one of the first things I did is I installed my CB radio. It's an old Cobra 40 channel. I received it for doing a side job for someone as a payment. I had no problem for that, as I had been looking for one. Above it is my Unidine trunking scanner. Really nice for long road trips, and because it came in handy too because my CB does not have a weather function, but the scanner does. So it's nice to be able to keep the scanner onto a usable channel and listen, but also had the weather alerts come in up here. So it's really nice. It also has a nice function, these new Unidines, where they have an alert function that will let you know when a state trooper is nearby. So have those. This velcroed fairly securely. It's an industrial strength Velcro. I haven't had them move around at all on the dash, and I can really whip this thing around corners at times, so it's good to know it stays secure. To the left here, I have my GPS unit, and I use this hermaphroditic type Velcro material, but it actually sticks to itself, so you don't get confused if you accidentally try to put the wrong pieces together. It'll always stick to itself, and it holds a lot better than normal Velcro because it actually meshes into itself. So it holds really strong, and the glue on it's very jelly. Holds perfect for holds the GPS mount perfect. I also use that same material up here on the headliner because that jelly glue on the backing of it works wonders on that headliner, and I haven't had these fall down. As you can see, I didn't replace this little bit of standard Velcro on the back, and it actually fell down, and I have to repair that. So down here on the center console, I have replaced the stock Saturn radio. I found when I got this car that the stock radio did not pick up FM radio stations well at all in the city. I was pretty bummed out about that because I like to listen to the radio. So I picked up a new unit, JVC, installed it, works perfectly. Has all the new features except satellite radio, but I don't need that because it's very expensive. Up here you can see these switches, these toggle switches I mounted here. They're actually to allow me to cut my music off in the car very easily and to play it on the PA speaker I have under the hood of my car in the right wheel well. The PA speaker is also hooked up to the CB, so I can use the mic from the CB to talk outside the car. It's a great little feature to have. Been through a couple places they like the ability just to play the music out the loudspeaker. It's a nice little thing to have. So this first switch actually isolates the radio from the CV because, as I found out, they cannot be connected physically together. The radio will think it's a miswire due to it thinks it sees a second ground, so I had to put an isolation switch in. This one cuts off one of my rear speakers and sends it out to the PA speaker, and this one cuts off the rest of the speakers in the car. Now I could just have used, every time I want to cut off the other speakers of the car, just use the dimmer, the fader, and the balance on the radio. That was too complicated, and since the wiring harness since I used a wiring harness for this radio, I didn't mind cutting it up to make it work with this switch. So it was nice and neat. Looks pretty good. So as you notice, I don't have any wires running around my dash here to power all these things. What I did is I removed my dash lid, and I ran the wires underneath it and down behind the center console and stuff. So it made everything look very neat, and you can see the power cable for the GPS just fits right here between these two pieces of trim, nice and easy. So to power all these things, I was originally going to splice a three-way adapter I had bought into the cigarette lighter feed, but I decided, I have a AC to DC to AC inverter that I sometimes use. I want to be able to have that full power on that cigarette lighter. So what I did instead is, under here, I took that three-way adapter and stuck it right here. I got a little piece of Velcro under it, sticks it right to the carpet. It's that same hermaphroditic stuff, works great. And I have this three-way adapter hardwired into an ignition switched source. The source I used for it actually happened to be the sunroof. I used a fuse tap with it on the sunroof, and as you can see, I don't have a sunroof in this SL2, so I'm pretty sure that means that circuit is not being used at all. So, and again, you can see here, I used my shielded audio cable I had to splice in the audio feed. It is I believe it is, it's a 22 gauge wire, and there's two pairs, so that means there's 4 wires actually inside that cable of 22 gauge. And for the short run of audio it is, and the little minor switching I'm doing with it, it's perfect. I don't have a problem with it. And you can see here, this cable that runs, there goes my light, runs up along, it's the same 22 gauge cable. This cable goes out to the engine compartment, and up in there you can see it goes out into a grommet I found in the firewall. Really happy that I didn't have to drill through the firewall. I just happened to find this free grommet. So if any of you modders are looking for it, or any other people working on their Saturn, there is an open grommet, at least on my 98 SL2, that you can snake things through. And for the antennas and stuff for the CB and scanner, I ran them right here is where they come down from under the dash. And I actually took off all the trim paneling, took all of it off all the way back and ran it underneath the carpet and trim there, and it turned out really nice. As many probably know, these Saturns, these panels snap off really easily, and if you're careful, you don't break the tabs, they go back on just as easily. So another little thing here I have on my knee bolster here is this toggle switch right here. That's for my amber light I have mounted on the rear deck there, and I have that hardwired into its own circuit too. I fuse tap off the chime circuit. Since I use this light very intermittently, I have not found any issues running it piggybacked off with a fuse tap off the chime circuit, and been pretty happy with it so far. So we'll go to the back of the car now, where I show you what else I have hidden in my trunk of my SL2, and I can show you the antennas. So here in the trunk lid, I have just a regular magnetic mount antenna I picked up from Radio Shack for the CB. Works really well, and was tuned about a year ago. It was actually tuned. Probably needs a readjustment now as it's been a while. Yeah, I'll do that in time. And you can see here in my rear window 2 suction cups and this wire in between. That wire in between is actually antenna wire for the scanner. I wasn't really too sure how well it would work, since I'm used to a rigid antenna like the CB antenna. Worked out really well, and I'm happy with it and don't plan on replacing it. Also, in case you can see here in the rear of the car is the amber warning light. It's bolted right to that deck there into the trunk. So in the trunk here, alright, so here in the trunk we have the Streamlight flashlight I acquired from my last job. Was given to me to use on the job, and I was allowed to take it with me as I left. This particular flashlight and charger is actually a piggyback charger, and right next to the charger there is an additional battery. So you always have the battery and the flashlight self-charging, and an additional one ready to go. It's actually a really bright flashlight. I haven't had it charging though, because I haven't taken my car out in a few days, and since I do have this being charged off the car's battery, I don't like to leave it plugged in if I know I'm not going out for an extended period of time, so I'll tend to unplug it. So, a little attachment for this flashlight that comes in handy is this orange warning cone. Actually, as you can see from the video, it's pretty bright, and it's very visible at night and during the day. And I have this charger wired in to the trunk light. I realize now I do, however, have it wired wrong. I wired it in after the trunk switch, which means it's also wired in after the light bulb, which is not good. My trunk light does not stay on, but due to where I ground in a different spot from where the trunk light does, but I still draw the power through it to charge the light, which I think also contributes to my main battery draw. So I'm going to fix that in the near future. Tap this charger before this light. It was one of the first projects that I did, and was a little inexperienced and did not trace the wires fully like I should have. But I realize my mistake now, and will be correcting it. So I'll go around to the passenger side here, and I'll show you where I tapped that 3-way adapter for all my GPS, CB, and scanner. It's right here. See it? Right up there. It's a fuse tap I picked up. I like these ones over the ones that actually, like, many may have seen it, that slip over the fuse. I know they're usually used on maxi fuses, but I feel these ones, or just they seem a lot safer to me, and I like the connection you can get with them. So I have, so that right up there is where your sunroof would be, but I don't have a sunroof. And my other one is right here. This is the chime switch. So I have that piggybacked, another piggyback tap. So they work really well, and they're fairly cheap. So, and I grounded right here to the chassis behind this bolt for those two things, and it was no problem. It worked really well. So put this panel back on. So, like I said, I've had this Saturn about a year. She works really well for me. My first car, actually. Yeah, 23, just got my first car. So she works really well. She has a few problems I discovered along the way. The right rear passenger window, the plastic glide and the track for the window is broken, so the window does not roll up and down properly. I can get it to go down, but the window regulator pops out of the track and won't go back up. So I plan on fixing that soon. I'm actually gonna channel that the guide there with my own little roller, and I believe it'll work well. So instead of buying a new window regulator, which I found is about $60. Another little problem I noticed is my Saturn has started to develop the cracking around the upper transmission coolant line on the radiator. So I'm going to be replacing the radiator soon on it, just so before that problem gets really bad. Along with that, I will go ahead and just change my thermostat and my coolant temp sensor, since I have all the fluid pretty much drained anyway, and will save me a time since they're relatively cheap parts. So one more time, that light, you know, they're pretty bright. It does light up the back of this car pretty good. You can see the project box here. This is the switch that actually came with these lights that you can put on the computer, and that takes care of turning the light on when you're in the car and don't have the doors open. I see now, you know, you can see this project box is pretty big. It does not need to be this big anymore. I used to have LED modules in it, but I took them out, and I just haven't gotten around to switching to a smaller project box. So there she is. This is my 98 SL2, and that's how I changed my dome light, and just a few of the other things I have done to make her more personal. Thank you, and comments are always enjoyed.